Today we are doing green. Yeah, that we're going green today. So I'm just going to share my favorite greens in today's lesson. I'm going to take you to show you the mixing greens that I do, the colors that I love to work with. And I'm just going to I have a lesson on a video that I made, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about those. I'm going to take you through those mixtures. I am Linda Glover Gooch, if it's the first time. I am a painter, artist, obviously. I'm trying to, right? It's a journey that we're on. So the greens that I use, most of them are mixed. I use a few tube mixtures, okay? But these are the mixtures that you find in my paintings, such as this. So, I develop these scenes, and those landscapes really aren't like a place. It's where I want to go. But these are the greens that I use. So you can see them there, and I'm going to go through some mixtures, and in this one as well. See, now this one's toned down and a tidbit grayer. It's got some close up hills that have a lot of gray, but little bits of speckled light, opposed to this one has more flat land going way back, and then some distant blue mountains. So there's a little difference in those, but really most of the greens remain pretty much the same that I use. I just vary them. And so varying them and taking them into different tones, some are warmer, some are cooler. It just depends. But I do merge my skies and my landscapes. So a lot of times you will not ever find that particular landscape. I always say it's where I want to take my viewer. Like, what are you doing with your work? Because we're not married to the photos, you guys. And I preach this a lot. We're not married to that photo. We're the creator of our work. We get to choose how we want to do it. We get to choose our colors. We get to choose our direction. We get to choose our techniques. It's all our own personal journey. So in mine, now, of course, if I'm at the Grand Canyon, I'm pretty much painting, what I see there, so to speak, because it's an iconic scene. Though I will tell you, I do make little changes for the sake of a better composition or just my pure enjoyment, because I can. But so my landscapes like this with all these greens are pretty much predominantly like where I want to take you, my viewer. Or where do I want to go? Where do I want to be today? That's how I paint those. So that's my whole thought process on that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you into a lesson, and we're talking about the power of green and what it will do in your landscape. And really, I know I hear this a lot. I spent years painting at the Rocky Mountains with a lot of painters. Spent a lot of years out there plein air, and greens were tough. And they are tough. But when you learn some mixtures and you apply, right? Use the applications of the things you learn from me, from other artists, other workshops, as you study at your palette. We don't just study up on the image, you guys. All right. A lot of work happens on your palette. And I preach this a lot in my in-person workshops and in my online courses too. That palette is important. Being disciplined with your palette, understanding your color wheel, being organized with your palette, keeping things in order, and you know where you are. Because if you're out plein air painting and stuff is moving, you can't figure out which one of those is transparent red oxide and which one is alizarin. I preach always load that palette the same way all the time. And I do that in the studio too, because when that intuitive part of you kicks in where you want to paint for the sake of just love painting and you want to get into the zone, there is a zone. There is a place. You get there by perfecting your palette, knowing your colors, knowing your tools, then you get there. So I'm going to take you into the video and let's see about my greens. I do like to make my own sap green. So right here, I've got my ultramarine blue deep and my Gamblin transparent orange. And I'm going to make a sap green. And it's usually the dark green that I pull across my landscape. I'll vary it different times, but just to get a mixture going here, I've used the transparent orange and the ultramarine blue. It makes a very beautiful sap green. Now, you can go warmer or cooler with it. I usually will land right where it's just barely starting to warm, but it doesn't have the cool of the blue. Because sap green is kind of a little warm out of the tube, you can use the tube sap greens. I just like to mix my own most of the time, though I still do carry a tube of sap green for other mixtures. That's about perfect right there. Now for me, that nice dark sap green landed just about perfect. And you can see as you scrape the palette, that's how you can pick up the true color of it. So that's how I make my sap green. Now sometimes off in the distance, I want to use a little bit of the sap green. Let's do a little pile here. And I like to take some air color with a little bit of sap green mixed into it. And this sets off a very beautiful gray green. Now this is my air color, which there's a video that will teach you how to make my air color. That's the white, cad red light, and ultramarine blue. But you can already see, isn't that just a gorgeous blue-green? And you can go darker with it. You can be cooler. If all I wanted to do was get a little bit cooler, I could just add more blue to it and see what it does for it right there. If you can see that difference. Or, you know, even a little more green to it. So it's still a cool color, but look, it's a little bit darker. So you can see those two values there. So I love to do that for distance. Another nice color for distance that I like to make up in my greens are ultramarine blue and yellow ochre. All right, now it gives you a totally different green than that right there. This is warmer than that, but sometimes I want it to be just a little bit cooler. I'm going to throw in a little more ultramarine blue. Now, I want that to be maybe distance, so this would work pretty good for some mid-ground areas. If I want to use my air color, which not say if, I do a lot, I'll use my air color and mix it with that. And still a very beautiful light blue-green, not as cool as this one over here. This one's cooler because the yellow ochre was way warmer. So that makes another beautiful blue-green like you're seeing in some of those images. You can see them. You can see this in the mid-ground. You can see it off in the distance. Sort of depends on where you're looking. Now, there's another color that I just love to work. Another green, a tube green that I really do love. And it is Rembrandt Green Earth. So it's Rembrandt Green Earth. It's a very gorgeous color. You can mix it though. You don't have to buy it, but I'm going to show it to you here. It's a very beautiful kind of, I would call it earthy, but on the cool side a little bit. So that green earth, I love to use it in different areas of my foreground. It just sort of depends on the scene, but I will intermix it. It's a nice color for ocean too, but right now I'm talking about ground. So in order to make that mixture, yes, you can buy it out of the tube. You definitely can. I like it for convenience, but I also end up mixing it quite a bit too by taking Viridian Green and Raw Sienna. And it brings that over. You just go slow, or you go too far. That's one thing about mixing, is just take your time, because you go too far and then you got to start all over again. So I'd rather be a little bit on the conservative side. So you can see that's getting real close. It almost looks a little bit lighter in film. Maybe I'll just add just a little bit of ultramarine blue to take it maybe just a hair darker, get it just a little closer. But how close is that? Really close. So, you know, that's another mid ground. Now, when I start getting back way in the distance, I love sometimes to put a very beautiful glow from the sun. And a lot of times I will use Grumbacher phthalo yellow green and yellow ochre. And I'll start with this mixture, and I'll even use this. I guess I shouldn't say this is just in the background where I have a strip of light, but you'll see this. You see that in that one painting there in the foreground where it's really intense bright greens. This is the yellow ochre and phthalo yellow green mixed together here, right? Now, if you take these and you're laying them in your foreground area, and then this starting to mingle with it, you get some very beautiful things happening on your ground. Now, I'll lighten that with maybe some lemon yellow and white where I really want some bright. I'll take that. And you can see that right down underneath that tree where I have some sparkle of light showing there. That's this mixture here that I like to use. So these are just sort of some mixtures that I get going. Now, obviously, there's all different ways that you can go with this. You know, the ultramarine blue and lemon yellow are a beautiful mix. It's way cooler than these lights, but look how beautiful this is right here. Your yellow, lemon yellow, and ultramarine blue. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous. Now we are also seeing this in that one painting that I have up with the different spots of green. The dark green, the midtones, the blue grays. And depending on how gray you want to get those, you can always add more air color. If you really want to go way grayer with some of those, the sap green. Really influenced with air color. In a different fashion, a little bit of warmer sap green, so you can get all kinds of varieties going. You know, you don't have to stick with just one. There's areas where I'll put some of this purple even showing in my greens. And you know, you can always bring it up one more brighter with a little more yellow. Always go to yellow first before adding white. There's not much white in these mixtures. There's white in this, but it's come through a gray. So you know, you want to be careful with that. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea. These are just some of the favorite mixtures. You'll see them in my paintings if you study and look at my paintings, you'll see them. One other color that I really do love too is Viridian Green and Cat Orange. This is a very beautiful color. It's sort of an earthy green, all right, but it takes on a deep richness because of the Viridian, but takes it way different than all these others. But it's just a very beautiful mixture. It's all about practicing, you know, using all those. And then the key element that you need to think about is be careful with getting too greeny green. So there's a lot of elements that I try to move in. How about a little bit of red to warm up that green? Putting a little bit of red in it helps warm it. You can do that on any green because it's a complement. So hopefully this helps you, kind of gives you some different ideas about mixing greens. Okay, hopefully you didn't fall asleep during that time. You know, and I just took you through. I do use a few other greens, but like those are kind of like my staples. You know, what I always have on hand. And again, when you're working each individual landscape, things are going to fall differently. It's going to depend on what you're doing, where your light's coming from, all of those things. So I love the images with the pull out color spots. but which was which? Well, I mean, if you go back and watch this, you could pause it and kind of look through that. Really, the color spots, if they were bluer and cooler, they went towards the back. The warmer, the more hot colors probably were towards the front. But then, I do push it, you guys. I push my work, I push my colors. So, way off there in the distance, I sometimes will put some hot spots where the sun's coming down through clouds because I want to take you back into the distance, right? So, I will use some pretty intense color back there. So, in order, to say that which ones were which, you would just, if you look at that image again, you can see I don't have these labeled here now, but like on the bottom row, that third one over, that's that ultramarine blue and yellow ochre going off in the distance, and probably some air color added to it. So that bottom image, count over 1, 2, 3, that kind of grayish, greenish color off in the distance. Like I was talking about up on the top picture, the second one over, that intense green there, that's my phthalo yellow green and yellow ochre. So, those things are just part of like what practice brings. You can go back through and watch this and just get to your palette. That's the main thing, that I'm talking about, is for you to get to your palette and then follow through with what you're learning here and what you're learning at other places. So I'm talking about greens. And the other thing we want to talk about is these beautiful earth tones. So if you don't know about earth tones, you can go to lindaglovergooch.com/earth tones. And there I do have a PDF that takes you through. When I say earth tones, I'm talking about like those pathways through some of those scenes, the dirt, that part. I have some mixtures, and I have all the mixtures laid out and a PDF for you. So you can learn about the earth tones too. Let me see about questions real quick. Do you use the cad yellow mixtures? I use cad yellow medium a lot. Sometimes I'll mix it with ultramarine blue. Sometimes I'll lighten other greens with it, depending on where I am, what I'm working on. But I do use a Gamblin cad yellow medium. Now, if I'm painting sunflowers or things like that, I go to a cad yellow deep. But cad yellow medium is on my palette. I didn't get it into these mixes right here, but I do use it. It's beautiful color. And I do think greens are tough for people, valley scenes and different things. And it's just the practice. But I will be honest with you, much of the practice that I've learned was out on site in Mother Nature. And that's not to say you have to be a plein air painter. You can go out there with a notebook and a camera, make notes, talk to yourself, and study. Plein air painting is great. You don't have to do it. I think it's a great teacher, but you can do it other ways as well. I want to talk about the blog really quick. So this is what's at the blog. So you can get to my blog, lindaglovergooch.com/116. It's about creating drama in your paintings. So I'm outside at the canyon, and that dramatic scene up on the left, the way those shadows carried in there, was just amazing. It's similar to my Grand Canyon course, but the light source is a bit different. But I just take you through a few steps about creating drama in your paintings. So go over to the blog at lindaglovergooch.com/116. I have a good lesson for you there. Then again, how did I mix that color? These are the earth color tones. If you want that video and the PDF, you'll find that at lindaglovergooch.com earth colors. I'm really passionate about helping people grow and do what you want to do. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're like creating work, and we want to create the very best work we can right now today. And it's a growing thing. So with each time, every painting, every cloud painting I do, every scene I do, I'm like, I just got to take it a little bit higher. Like I got to just go a little bit deeper. Like, what can I do to just make it a little bit better? And so these are the ways we do it: by study, just educate yourself, and stay at the easel. All right, checking my notes. Did I miss anything? Where are you going? Hello? Oh, exactly. You're headed to the easel palette. You're going to do what? Did I hear it? Oh, you're going to mix some greens. Awesome. You all be safe. I'm going to say stay cool. We're going to do that here in Arizona. Ciao.